Hello beautiful friends, my name is Kate and welcome back to my channel Trick and Treat, a channel all about trichotillomania, also known as the hair pulling disorder, as well as many other BFRB disorders. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, or if you're new here, then thanks so much for watching, and if you like my content, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you get more of these videos in your feed. So today we are going to talk about how I stopped pulling my hair out. So I have been pull-free for over 2 months now, and today I'm going to talk about it. So if that is interesting to you, just keep watching. In April this year, I was in a really bad place, a really dark place. And this isn't that unusual because about 1 to 2 times a year for the past decade, I have had what I call funks, where I get in a really low mood and I get really down on myself and I lose essentially all motivation. During these funks, I would feel helpless and angry that they were happening, and then eventually over the course of 1 or 2 weeks, I would manage to pull myself out of the funk. The only difference is that in April, the funk didn't go away, instead it stretched into May. I started to have really negative thought spirals, panic attacks, and my hair pulling was quite severe. I had no eyebrows, sparse eyelashes, and I had started getting back into my scalp again, something which hadn't happened for years. All of this combined made me really scared to work alone at home, which I normally love doing. And my husband and I decided that I needed to see a doctor and I needed to get some help. I told the doctor about my trichotillomania and also these funks that I kept having, my negative thoughts and the spirals and the panic attacks and the general anxiety. And she said, of course, something needs to change. That's absolutely not normal. So she prescribed me medication and therapy. So with the doctor's support and my husband's, of course, I started to slowly work toward dismantling the dark place that I had been in. And honestly, I was terrified, but I'm just gonna spoil it for you. It does get better. So I'm always going to be completely honest with you guys on this channel. So I'm just going to get into the medication that I was put on. So in the beginning, I was put on 10 milligrams of escitalopram, which I believe is the generic version of Lexapro. And I had both really positive and really negative outcomes from this experience during the first month. So let's start off with the positive first. So during the first month, my mood improved a lot, the panic attacks disappeared, and I felt generally like a huge pressure that was on my shoulders had been lifted a little bit. I still did have negative thoughts, but they were much less severe than before, and I did also still have some anxiety, but overall my mood was way better than the previous month. Instead of being in such a dark place where it felt like nothing was going to help and I was going to be stuck there forever in that like pitch black, really dark place, I was starting to feel like I was in the twilight zone, like it was a gray area where I could see happiness and I could see me being more positive every day, but I was really nervous that I was going to relapse. So this was a very tentative time for me. So I also want to talk about the 2 main negatives that I had from going on the medication during that first month. So the first negative was that I had insomnia. And I'm not talking about the cute insomnia where maybe you stay up till 2 a.m. and then you fall asleep. For me, it was like I would try to sleep, and then at 2 a.m. I could no longer pretend to sleep or stare at the wall anymore. So I would get up and I would read an entire book. I would organize all the shelves. I would do some cleaning, kind of like manic insomnia. So that wasn't the best. So the second negative that I want to talk about is that I lost my entire sex drive. I'm talking desert dry. No feelings whatsoever. So those 2 negatives are not the best, but my mental health was improving, so worth it, I guess. I had looked up therapists in my area who specialize in BFRBs, so they would at least be knowledgeable about trich and about the disorder in general. When I went for my first consultation with my therapist, I was really nervous. So during my first appointment, I told her everything that I just told you guys about how I was feeling and the major events in my life, moving to Australia, going back to America to visit sick family members, and also sometimes staying up all night to make a deadline, just generally running myself ragged. At the end of the appointment, she mentioned that she thought I might have major depressive disorder and that the funks I kept talking about were actually depressive episodes. My trich had been exacerbated by my depression and my anxiety, and once I took this information back to my doctor, my doctor agreed that I have the hallmark symptoms for major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, and trichotillomania. It was the first time in my life that someone had told me that the dark places that I had been were not just funks, were not just something I should get over. They were instead very difficult and very dark, depressive episodes. Honestly, it was such a relief to have someone finally tell me what I had been feeling was not just felt by me alone and that I shouldn't just be able to get over it magically. Honestly, at that time, it just seemed like everything was clicking into place. So from that appointment on, my therapist and I worked on determining the reasons behind my depressive episodes and the reasons behind my negative thoughts and my trichotillomania, and we just worked forwards. During this time, I also went up from 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams of escitalopram, and that was amazing. From essentially June to August, so what is summertime in America and is winter in Australia, my sadness and depressed mood seemed to evaporate. So during those summertime months, I was focusing on my trick with my therapist because my medicine was actually taking care of my mood. Of course, anyone who has been to therapy would know that my therapist dragged out, dredged up, made me examine everything painful, awkward, embarrassing, horrible that I didn't want to talk about from my past and my present so that we could move forward into the future. There were times when I was really sad, when I was really hurt, when I was angry, things I didn't want to talk about but knew that I needed to. So over those months, it was really painful but necessary. It was basically just getting it all out there so that we could talk through together and build a plan. Over that time, we slowly went through different treatment approaches and different treatment steps, which allowed me to move through the process. I will definitely be doing a specific video about those therapy steps that I went through, but for right now, they are too complicated to get into in this video. Just know that it was quite a process and it took months and months and it took a lot of hard work. So although I'm breezing over it in this video, it is not at all an easy breezy CoverGirl type of experience. It was very hard and very difficult to get through, but it was completely necessary. So after that time, my therapist dropped a bombshell on me that we had actually finished the majority of the treatment steps, and now it was time to finally do the unthinkable and to quit cold turkey. Now, if you're not aware, cold turkey means to just quit something full stop and just do it. I knew that we had been preparing for this day for the past 4 months, but it was still very confronting to have her say, today is the day. We had built up mental strategies, physical strategies, my trick toolkit, so I knew that I had been prepared for this day, but I somehow felt like the day would never come. My therapist, however, had other ideas, and she knew that I was prepared and I had worked through the steps, and now it was time to pull the plug and stop. I am not here to just tell anyone to just stop. I think that is one of the most painful, most hurtful things someone can say to someone who has trichotillomania. Just stopping, why don't you just stop pulling your hair, anything like that. It is not that simple. My ability to even attempt stopping came from months upon months of medication, weekly therapy, and lots of preparation, and a genuine want to fully stop, which is something that is really hard to get all of those elements together to create almost the perfect well-being storm, if that makes sense. Honestly, before the medication and the therapy, I never ever would have thought I would be able to stop just cold turkey. It would have been laughable, it would have been nearly impossible. I just didn't have the building blocks in place for me to achieve any form of success. Because in the past, when I had tried to stop and then I had relapsed and pulled again, I went on a completely destructive binge and just ruined everything. Now, if I happen to pull, I have been taught the strategies and have practiced the tools and methods and put them in place in order to hopefully not completely fall apart if I do have a relapse. So let's fast forward through those 2 months to right now. So we are 2 months past that time when I went cold turkey, and I have not pulled a single hair. I have full eyebrows and full eyelashes, and my scalp hair is growing back, although the top is patchy. So I am currently shaving it while the top grows back in to match the rest, and I'm wearing wigs still in the meantime. So the ultimate question is, how did I stop? And the answer is somewhat complicated. I started medication for depression and my mood got better and my confidence grew. I started seeing a therapist who knew about BFRBs specifically. We developed a treatment plan, and then I spent months upon months implementing that plan, slogging through the steps, and honestly just putting in the hard work. Sometimes those steps really put me in bad moods, and I was extremely ornery. Big shout out here to my angel of a husband who has been nothing but supportive, even though I have been so crabby at some of the worst times ever. So can you imagine coming home from work and your wife is just really disgruntled for no reason? That's kind of like what all those months were for him. And so I have nothing but the greatest love and respect for him, and I just count my lucky stars that he's here for me, and I hope that you guys can also have that kind of support in your life, whether it's a husband, whether it's a wife, whether it's family members or friends, or just any sort of support network. I also have a trick toolbox which I keep near at hand, and it helps me get through my day-to-day life. But above all, I want to say that me stopping pulling has not been easy. It is not easy. There is no cure, there is no quick band-aid you can just slap on and it will be over. I wish there was, but there just isn't. So it is so much hard work and it is so difficult. So I guess the takeaway from this would be, if you know someone who's struggling, or if you yourself are struggling, just know that if you are struggling with it and you're trying to do better, you're already stepping in the right direction. And if you know someone who's struggling, try to help them, because it is such a painful process and they are just doing the best they can. And of course, I just want to end by telling you guys that this is just my story. This is 100% relevant to just me. It has to deal with my body, my mental health, and also my circumstance, my lifestyle. Some of you with trichotillomania may not have depression, you may not have anxiety, some of you may not want to take medication, or you may not be able to take medication, or you may not be able to afford medication. Some people may not want to go to a therapist, they can't afford a therapist, or they don't have a therapist near them. I understand that there are so many factors, and that just because that's my story doesn't mean that it will work for your story necessarily. The only reason that I'm sharing this is because some parts of my story might help you, just like some parts of someone else's story might help you, and maybe you can gather tiny things from everyone's different stories that can help you build your own story to success. Trichotillomania is so devastating and so hard to fight against that I feel like we need all the support and all the help that we can. We need all the people in our corner that we can get. So by sharing my story, I'm hoping that I'm helping you too. Okay, that's all that I have for you guys today. If you found this video informative or helpful, please feel free to share your story down below. Let me know your thoughts and comments or any questions you have, and I will be sure to reach out in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you liked this content so that I know to make videos like this in the future. And remember, no matter where you are on your trichotillomania journey, you are beautiful. I will see you in another video soon. Bye!